Two of the smartest kids in the same class, same grades, same drive. One decides to become a doctor, one decides to become a software engineer. 18 years later, one of them is a millionaire. And it is not the one you think. Let's start the clock. Age 22, college is over. The engineer walks into their first job. Starting salary? Around $100,000. Day 1, 100 grand. The doctor walks into medical school. Their salary? 0. Worse than 0. Because the meter just started running and it is running against them. The average medical student graduates owing around $200,000. So at 22, one of them is up $100,000. The other is heading $200,000 into the hole. Age 26. The engineer has been working for 4 years. Salary's climbing. They've been quietly investing the whole time, and compounding has started its slow, silent magic. The doctor? Just finished medical school. And now they enter residency, which sounds like the finish line. It isn't. Residency means working brutal hours, sometimes 80 a week, for a salary of about $70,000, for 3 to 7 more years. While that $200,000 in debt sits there, waiting, growing. Age 30. Now the gap is a canyon. The engineer is a senior now, earning $160,000, maybe far more at a big tech company. 8 years of saving, 8 years of compounding. They could already have a few $100,000 in net worth. The doctor is 30 years old, still a resident, still making $70,000, still buried under the debt. On paper, the doctor is one of the most qualified people alive, and financially, they are losing badly. This is the part nobody warns them about. And then, age 32, everything changes. The doctor finishes training and becomes an attending physician. And the salary doesn't climb, it detonates. $250,000, $300,000. For a surgeon, $400,000 and up. Overnight, the doctor goes from the lowest earner in the story to the highest. So now they win, right? Not so fast. Because the engineer didn't stop. They're 32 too, also earning $200,000 or more, but with a decade of investments already compounding behind them. The doctor is starting their wealth from below zero, climbing out of debt. The engineer is starting from a mountain they already built. So the doctor's huge salary begins closing the gap fast. But closing a gap is not the same as winning a race. So let's go to the finish line.
Age 40. The big reveal. The doctor has been earning a massive salary for 8 years now and is finally genuinely wealthy. But the engineer has been compounding for 18 years straight, with no debt, never starting from behind. And at 40, for most specialties, the engineer is still ahead. The crossover point, where the doctor's net worth finally passes the engineer's, usually doesn't arrive until the mid-40s, sometimes later. So the lower paid engineer spends their entire 30s and often their early 40s quietly richer than the doctor, making twice their salary. The salary war and the wealth war have two different winners. So how is that possible? One word: time. There's a third competitor in this race that nobody put on the poster. It's compounding. $1 the engineer invested at 22 had 18 years to multiply. $1 the doctor invested at 32 had 8. And that 10-year head start is worth more than a doctor's salary for a shockingly long time. The doctor didn't lose because they earned less. They earned far more. They lost the early race because they started 10 years late, carrying $200,000 of weight. But here's where the story turns and where it gets fair. Stretch the timeline past 45 and the doctor pulls ahead and keeps going. Over a full career, a physician earns somewhere between $8 and $15 million. The doctor isn't poor. The doctor was never poor. They chose a longer road to a higher mountain, plus something no salary measures, walking into a room and saving a life. And the engineer chose speed, freedom, and a 10-year head start that let their money do the heavy lifting. Two winners, two completely different definitions of winning. So who's actually richer at 40? Usually the engineer. Who's richer at 60? Usually the doctor. And what does that actually teach you, whatever you do for a living? This. It was never just the salary that built the wealth. It was the years. The single most powerful force in this entire story wasn't the doctor's $300,000 a year or the engineer's tech job. It was time in the market, compounding. And that is the one weapon in this whole race that does not require a degree, a specialty, or permission. You don't need to be a surgeon. You don't need a FANG offer. You need to start putting money to work as early as humanly possible and then refuse to stop. The doctor and the engineer were equally brilliant. The only thing that separated their net worth for 20 years was who started the clock first. So whatever your road is, the lesson is the same. The best day to start was at 22. The second best day is tonight.